जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं स अवधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So, before we start today's discussion, we need to do one activity that whatever we discussed in previous session, we will do a short revision of that. Okay, and devotees can share from the beginning to end in flow. Okay, as we have discussed, and then we will start today's discussion. So I request devotees who have heard attentively previous session, you can share from your notes. So you must have all understood that from next time you will have to make notes to do this activity and to participate in this activity. So I would request all devotees to participate. Okay, till the time it's possible. Okay, so please keep making notes while you are doing the classes, whichever points you like. And generally, I'm sending the notes in the PDF format. But if you like something else to add, you can write it in your Nectar instruction book or a separate notebook, whatever, so that you can participate in this revision. Okay, so let's begin the revision, what we discussed. So how we do revision is we just mention the point. Okay, we don't want to repeat the whole class, what we discussed last time. We just want to mention the point which was addressed and then move ahead. Okay, this revision should not take more than 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, in this session. So this we'll be doing every time. Okay, all the classes we'll be doing till the time at least I take. Okay, so we'll be doing like this. So yeah, so I request devotees to raise your hand, then I can unmute you and then you can share your points. Okay, and if possible, keep it in sequence as we discussed. Yeah, so Avinash Prabhu, yeah, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Guruji, Pandit Pranam.
Dhanatnam.
So, just to revise, we started with the purpose of Bhakti Shastra, that is transformation of character, like servitude attitude to Radharani by staying in the Radha Kunda. That is the purpose of Bhakti Shastra. Then we also discuss about the types of tests that will be, that we will be facing throughout the course, like closed book test, open book test, then sloka recitation test, and attitude and punctuality, basically marks for that also. Then we started like how this nectar of instruction originated, like
Yeah,
who
I
gave it
think
to whom
we can
first.
give chance to other devotees. You can just tell 1 point or 2 points. Yeah. Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you very
so
much.
when Chaitan, okay,
Yeah, you can pause. This next point, how Chaitanya Charitamrita originated, can be told by somebody else. Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Mahadev Prabhu, yeah, please share.
Yes, Prabhuji. So what is the actually firstly we discuss what is the aim of this NOI to the sadhaka to improve their means purity and to practice bhakti. What are the rules and regulations we discuss? Means this book is regarding to that. we discussed, and another thing we discussed that why this means for first this NOI is tell this Rupa Goswami to the Rupa Goswami, that contest we also we saw. Yes.
What was the last sentence? I could not hear. Pradeep. What context?
Means when this NOI is first who assume who who is the first student of this NOI
Yes,
from the
yes.
Rupa
Who is the first?
Goswami, that
Yeah,
content we discuss.
yeah. Who is the first student? You can share.
Jiva Goswami.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you very much. Yeah. So Jiva Goswami was the first student. We discussed that story also. Yeah. So how Jiva Goswami was sent out of Vrindavan because Rupa Goswami felt that Jiva Goswami became angry on Vallabh Bhatt, and the debate culture of Varanasi was coming to Vrindavan. So, in order to correct him, he sent him out, and then when he came back, then Rup Goswami instructed him that if you want to instruct anybody, what to speak of instructing anybody, you can instruct the whole world if you follow the first verse of Updeshamritam. So, and then he started, yeah. So, yeah, so this was the context. Okay. Yes, Sangeeta Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dhanat.
We started with the basics, the meaning of Updeshamrut. Then you talked about the Rupa Shiksha. We talked about the author of the NOI, that is Rupa Goswami Prabhu. Then we talked about the literatures written by the Rupa Goswami Prabhu, Goswami. Then we talked about the origin of Updeshamrut, where we talked about one of the shloka like the Priya Swarupe, Daite Swarupe, etc. And then you talked about the 4 essential factors of a book, that is Vishaya, Adhikari, Sambandha, Prayojan.
Yeah, I think that was the vision, Mataji. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, somebody else can share that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody would like to share about this subject matter of the book? What is the subject matter of the book? 4 essential pillars of learning any book. I think, yeah, in sequence, some things were remaining. I will just remind. Uh, yeah. Yeah, we discussed one very important shloka actually about the origin of Udeshamritam. So I gave a reference from Bhakti Thakur's Anuvritti, basically the verse number 11. He has written a paya or the stanza. Yeah, so he has mentioned that Ihai Gauranga Vani. Correct. So this itself, this Updeshamrita is the Gauranga Vani. And where did he speak? He spoke at Nilachala Sindhu Tire. Okay, so that reference we had given, yeah. So somebody can share about the next point about 4 essential factors of the book. Okay, so what are they? Just you can mention, yeah. Yeah, Aman Prabhu, yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
First, we talked about the Vishay, that is the subject matter of the book. For example, here it is Bhakti for us, and a special focus on attaining the mood of servitude to Radharani and Radhakund that you mentioned. And
Mm.
the second was Adhikari, that is the eligibility. For example, you gave example of the milk of lioness. It can be stored only in the gold container made of gold.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was originally, so this is Adhikari. It is mentioned, you mentioned that it was originally meant for Chiranjeev Goswami, that story which we discussed.
Mm.
Then third point was Sambandh, that is the relation between the book, I mean the Vachak and the Vachya. So that
Mm.
was, in our case, it is NOI and the subject, that is the Vishay. And then, Brother, you mentioned the fourth one was Prayojan. That was the goal that is to be attained.
Mm.
And here it is, for us, in our case, it is being fixed in the bhajan for achieving the Vishay, which is servitude to, getting the mood of servitude to Srimati Radharani and Radhakund. So,
Okay.
this
Yeah.
is.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Okay. So then next we were discussing about yeah, actually one thing which was already discussed, I will share. Originally written for Sri Joga Goswami. So that Radha Raman Das Goswami has actually told in his commentary in the introductory verse. So he has told that Yohi Jiva Upadeshastu. Yeah, so this Upadesh was given to Jiva. Okay, so and then there is another thing. This is for the Sadhakanam Upakrito. Upkar. Upkar, we have the word in Hindi or Marathi also, I hope it is there. Upkar. So upakritau, the word comes from there, for doing benefit. To whom? Sadhaka nam, unto the sadhakas. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. And we discussed the events leading to speaking of Updeshamritam to Shiv Goswami. That story we discussed. Yeah. Okay. Then we had discussed also the structure of Updeshamritam. So anyhow, we will be discussing the flow of Updeshamritam. So we will not be taking that. Yeah. So, and then we had also discussed the 4 commentaries on Updeshamritam. So I will share my screen. Mm, so that all of you can see. Yeah. So we had discussed these 4 commentaries are there on Updeshamritam, and we will be mainly taking the Srila Prabhupada's commentary. And wherever needed, we will take the other 3 commentaries just little bit. Yeah. So anything else? Anybody who has question or anything you want to add or comment? Then we can take whatever question is there based on previous class. Okay. Somebody, I think he was asking the question. Yeah. Mahadev Prabhu, I think. Yeah. Yeah. You can.
No, Guruji, actually, we can, this question we can cover later also.
Okay. Anybody else has any question on what we discussed in the previous class? Or some important point missed out you want to share?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, this is my first class, Prabhuji.
Okay. Your name, I don't know, Mataji. You can rename yourself later. Okay. And you can hear the
Yes,
recording of last class. We will be sharing in the group. Okay. So
okay,
the
Prabhuji.
YouTube
Okay.
playlist is formed. Okay. And somehow it was not shared. I came to know today. So it will be shared in the group by afternoon. You can hear that.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so then we will go ahead with the discussion of Updeshamritam. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandat Pranam.
Dandavat.
Prabhuji, can we have one co-host so that in case you face any network issue, the entire meeting should not be disconnected?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Any
So
one of us, yeah.
yeah, I think I can make you co-host because Amrish Prantu is not there. Yeah. Yes, bro. Yeah. Okay. So now we are discussing this next topic, flow of the Updeshamrita book. Okay. So as we know, before starting any book, we can have a bird's eye view of the book. What we are going to learn in this book. Bird's eye view means just like the bird from the sky can observe a lot of distance and lot of area. Okay, especially like the eagle or vulture, they can observe. So similarly, we can see what is going to come up in this book by the flow of the Updeshamritam. And then after knowing what we are going to learn in this book in a bird's eye view, then we can start the verse by verse discussion. Okay. So somebody can volunteer to read. Okay. Avinash Pro, would you like to start?
Yes, Prabhuji, sure. Dandat Pranam.
Then,
The flow of Sri Upadeshamrita. Sri Upadeshamrut gives the sadhakas 2 kinds of instruction. First, to abandon things that are unfavorable to bhakti, and second, to adopt things that are favorable to bhakti. By faithfully following these instructions, they can easily develop bhava bhakti and gradually prema bhakti, which is very rare. Without following these instructions, entering the realm of pure bhakti and especially the path of spontaneous love, that is Raganuga bhakti, is nearly impossible. Hare Krishna.
yeah, thank you, Raja. Yeah, so as we will be discussing these 2 points, will be discussed in the nectar of instruction in the first 3 verses. Basically, it will be coming up the things which are favorable and things which are not favorable. Okay, basically second and third will be more, and first is about the entrance into bhakti. Okay, first is not direct bhakti. The verse 1 is about how one can enter into bhakti, so we can tell this as 2 to 3, and NOI 1 is even before that. Okay, how one can enter into bhakti, like that. So when we come to that verse, we will discuss in detail. Yeah. So, and why we are following these instructions? These instructions means these 11 instructions. Why we are following? Because we want to develop the higher stages of bhakti. We want to go to higher stage of bhakti. What are that? The second stage is bhava bhakti, and third stage is prema bhakti. Then what is the first stage? The first stage is sadhana bhakti. Okay, that we are doing now. Okay, and then if we are not following these instructions, then we cannot enter into the pure bhakti, basically the uttama bhakti, which is defined in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We'll be discussing today that definition before we start and why. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yes, Prabhuji, we can continue. Yeah.
Okay, Rohit. A sadhaka must avoid the activities unfavorable for bhakti. These include first, the urges of the mind, speech, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals, as well as second, overeating, over endeavoring, useless talks, improper compliance with scriptural rules, bad association, and greed.
Yeah. So basically, these are the basic translations of the verses. NY 1. Okay. NY 2. Okay. Yes, Prabhuji, continue.
Simultaneously, the sadhaka must adopt favorable things that nourish one's bhakti. These include enthusiasm, determination, patience, prescribed practices, avoiding bad association, following the acharyas. Upon progressing in these areas, one must engage in the six living exchanges with devotees, that is, giving gifts, receiving gifts, etc. Fifth, appropriately respect and serve the three levels of Vaishnavas, namely Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama. Never become offensive by seeing pure devotees from a material point of view, and awaken the dormant taste for Krishna's names by regularly chanting. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So if you are observing, these are the verse numbers basically. So this is NY 3. Okay. And this is the fourth verse. Okay. The six loving exchanges, Preeti Lakshanam. Okay. And then fifth verse is appropriate respect to different levels of devotees. And then sixth verse is avoiding the offense, which is caused by the material viewpoint. And then seventh verse will be chanting Syat Krishna Nam Charit Adi Sita Api Vidya. So the very famous analogy which we hear about the jaundice is cured by sugarcane juice, that is discussed in this seventh verse. Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji.
Finally, the sadhaka must reside in Brajadhama physically or mentally and follow in the footsteps of devotees who deeply love Krishna. Ninth, in Vraja, one must stay at the holiest spot of Sri Radhakunda at the foot of Govardhan Tree. 10th, just as Srimati Radharani is the dearest to Krishna among all the gopis and devotees, her pond is also the most dear to him. 11th, therefore, sadhakas must bathe in Sri Radhakunda and take shelter of Srimati Radharani. Rich.
Yeah. So again, yeah. So this is NOI 8, that is describing about the Upadesha Saram, the essence of all the instructions. And then it further goes, and ninth verse, Rupa Goswami describes that where one should reside in the holiest of the place, that is at the Radha Kund. And then it can be either physical or mental. Okay, that was already told in the previous verse. Yeah. And the 10th verse, it describes the various levels of devotees, the karmi, the jnani, the bhakta. And among that bhaktas, there are different rasa of devotees. And among all of them, Radharani is highest. That will come in the 10th verse. And then last verse of this whole nectar of instruction, that the final instruction to the sadhakas, which is given, that is bathing in Radhakund and take shelter of Srimati Radharani. Okay. Yeah. So now we are going to discuss the preface of nectar of instruction. Yeah. So we will read this from the nectar of instruction. So yes, Aman Prabhu, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
There is some construction, Prabhu, so I don't know if there is a lot
Yeah,
of.
voice is good. Yeah, voice is good.
So the Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the supervision of Srila Rupa Goswami. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas or Bengali Vaishnavas are mostly followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of whom the six Goswamis of Vrindavan are direct disciples. Therefore, Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung Rupa Raghunath Pade Haibe Akuti Kabe Habe Bhujaba Se Yugala Piriti. So when I am eager to understand the literature given by the Goswamis, then I shall be able to understand the transcendental loving affairs of Radha and Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Yeah. So this Prabhupada is writing in the preface of this whole Nectar of Instruction. The very first line he has written is very, very important, actually, very important point. He has mentioned the Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the supervision of our Parampara Acharya, as we are called Rupa Anuga. We have discussed last time. Okay, so that is Rupa Anuga. Okay, so we are called Rupanuga Vaishnavas. Okay, because we are followers. We are Anugami. Anugami. That is the word. So who are we Anugami of? We are Anugami of Sri Rupa Goswami. So that's why we are called Rupanuga. And that is the goal of all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, to be a follower of Rupa Goswami. Okay, like that. So that's what Prabhupada is saying here. And why we are following Rupa Goswami? Because Sri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale. Because he understood the mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. He understood the mind of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's what Prabhupada is writing in the next line. So Gaudiya Vaishnavas or Bengali Vaishnavas are followers, mostly followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of whom the Goswamis of Vrindavan are direct disciples. So which kind of disciples are they? They are Siksha disciples. Okay. So they received the instructions. How do we know? Chaitanya Charitamrita says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave instructions to Sanatan Goswami, Sanatan Siksha. He gave instructions to Rupa Goswami, Rupa Siksha. There are separate chapters on that. Okay. So they are Siksha disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah. So Narottam Das Thakur Srila Prabhupada is quoted. So as soon as Prabhupada is saying some philosophy, he always gives some reference. Okay. So you can see Prabhupada while he is giving any lecture. Okay, every 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, he will be quoting one reference from the Shastra. Okay, and he is writing purports to Shrimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, or Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, anywhere. He is directly saying something from the shlokas of the Shrimad Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay, so he always gives reference. So whenever we also study or hear from anybody, we have to always understand that the person should be speaking from Shastra. He is not speaking, he is not going to speak his own philosophy. He is not going to speak something whichever comes to his mind, but they are going to speak what is there in the Shastra. So Prabhupada has given here the reference. Okay. So why we are following Rupa Goswami? So for that Narottam Das Thakur has sung. So Bujhaba means to understand, to know. Okay, what? Yugala Piriti. The confidential loving affairs, or as Prabhupada has translated here, transcendental loving affairs. Okay, so that is what is the purpose of studying NOI. Not that we will understand it after reading, but we will get a glimpse of what to understand, what we are supposed to understand. Okay, so here Prabhupada has quoted that. Yeah. Yes, Prabhu, please continue.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in order to bestow upon human society the benediction of signs of Krishna. The most exalted of all activities of Lord Krishna are his pastimes of conjugal love with the gopis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the mood of Srimati Radharani, the best of the gopis. Therefore, to understand the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and follow in his footsteps, one must very seriously follow in the footsteps of the six Goswamis, Srila Rup, Srila Sanatan, Bhatt Raghunath, Shri Jeev, Gopal Bhatt, Das Raghunath.
Yeah. So here again, Prabhupada is speaking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give something very specific. Okay, what specific thing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give? We discussed last time also. Unnat Ujjwala Rasa. Okay, so Anarpita Charim Chirat Karuneha Avtirna Kalo Samarpaitum Unnat Ujjwal Rasa Bhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundara Sandipita Sada Hridaya Kandare Spurito Sachinandana. Correct. So like that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is glorified by Swarup Damodar Goswami. So he has said that you have not come to give Ujjwal Ras. Ujjwal Ras means Madhur Ras. But you have come to give Unnat Ujjwal Ras. Okay. Unnat means that which is high or which is elevated. Okay. Unnat Ujjwal Ras. He could have told only Ujjwal Ras. But he applied a qualifier for that also. Okay. So what is that? We will see after the verse 8 of NY why he has added this word Unnat Ujjwal Ras. Okay. So that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give, and in what mood he is in? Radha Bhav Dyuti Suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. Okay, he is in the Radha Bhav. So that is also told by Swarup Damodar Goswami himself. He has noted down in his diary, which Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentions in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela 1.54, 5, 6. All these verses are mentioning all this. Okay. So then Prabhupada is concluding something. What he is concluding? Therefore, because all these things have been there, therefore, now what is the conclusion? To understand the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one has to follow in the footsteps of these six Goswamis. And how does one follow? Sorry, follow the footsteps of his, matlab Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. But how does one follow the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? By following the six Goswamis. And among them, who is the foremost? That is Rupa Goswami. And then by following Rupa Goswami, becoming Rupanuga, we can become a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's what I told in the previous slide. Because Rupanuga uh, means one who is following a person who has understood the mind of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. So we can follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by following Rupa Goswami. That is the conclusion of these two slides. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead. Yes, Prabhu, please read.
Shri Rupa Goswami was the leader of all the Goswamis, and to guide our activities, he gave us the Upadeshamrit, the nectar of instruction to follow. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left behind him the 8 verses known as Shikshastika, Rupa Goswami gave us Upadeshamrit so that we may become pure Vaishnavas. In all spiritual affairs, one's first duty is to control his mind and senses. Unless one controls his mind and senses, one cannot make an advancement in spiritual life.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So as I said, yeah, Rupa Goswami among the six Goswami, he is the leader of all. Okay. So leader means doesn't mean that always he has to be the most aged person or most whatever. Yeah, it's more about uh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu selecting him because Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam. Not that other Goswamis did not understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not in that sense, but Rupa Goswami was especially uh, given that mercy by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so if you all of you know, there is a past time when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the same times basically Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing a song for Jagannath while the Rath Yatra was going on. Okay, yesterday we had Snan Yatra of Sri Jagannath yesterday. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing that song, and that just looked like a duet song, as a Bollywood or Hollywood song would be. But Rupa Goswami understood the actual meaning of that song, and he had written down the meaning of that song, what it is, on a uh, wooden bark or something, and then he had kept it for drying on the thatched roof of the hut. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and he just saw that what Rupa Goswami had written, and then he glorified Rupa Goswami so much to Swarup Damodar Goswami, who was along with him. And then Swarup Damodar Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, how did he know what I was singing? What is the inner meaning of that? So Swarup Damodar Goswami told, because you have bestowed your own mercy unto Sri Rupa Goswami. Okay, that's why he has understood your mind. So the very same thing as we discussed last time, Priya Swarupe, Daita Swarupe, Prema Swarupe, Sahja Virupe, Nijanurupe, Prabhu Ek Rupe, Tatanurupe, Shri Swavilas Rupe, like that. So he has followed exactly the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and understood the mind of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. So that's why here we have to understand he is leader of all Goswamis. Okay. So it's not much about learning, about age, all that. Okay. Yeah. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself just wrote Sikshashtaka, as we know. Rupa Goswami and other Goswami expanded on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching. Yeah. And yeah, here Prabhupada starts with the description of what is going to come in NY. So he is going to speak. This is NY 1. Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodh Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udarupasthe Vegam. Correct. So all that he is quoting now. Yes, bro, please read.
Everyone within this material world is engrossed in the modes of passion and ignorance. One must promote himself to the platform of goodness, Sattva-guna, by following the instructions of Rup Goswami, and then everything concerning how to make further progress will be revealed. Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends upon the attitude of the follower. A follower of the Krishna consciousness movement should become a perfect Goswami. Vaishnavas are generally known as Goswamis. In Vrindavan, this is the title by which the director of each temple is known.
Yeah, thank you, bro. So yeah, again, Prabhupada is continuing on that theme. Basically, NOI1, he was quoting that one has to control his mind and senses. So continuing from there, Prabhupada is saying that to come to the mode of goodness, basically, one has to follow that nectar of instruction, verse 1. Okay. Then one can enter into bhakti. Okay. Entrance into bhakti. It's not a limbo bhakti. Vacho vegam, manasa, krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udar upastha vegam. Okay. Etan vegan, yo vishayet dhira, sarvam apivam, pitvim susishyat. So first two lines are describing the six vegas. So they are not limbs of bhakti. Okay. Limbs of bhakti are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. These are nine limbs, we know. So, first verse is not describing about bhakti elements. It's describing something which is making us come to mode of goodness, and then we can enter into bhakti. So, many times we have heard this very important example that how before the flight takes off, the flight has to have the runway where it gains the speed. Okay, something like 240 kilometer per hour, something. Yeah, so that speed has to come. So when that speed has to be gained, one has to be in the mode of goodness, then one can come to bhakti. But it's not a prerequisite for taking up to bhakti. As we know, Mrigari, Jagai Madai, so many people who were completely into ignorance but also could take up to bhakti. It's not a prerequisite. But what happens after one comes to bhakti from goodness, the baggage is very less. You can understand it by that example, just like somebody is climbing a mountain. So if somebody is climbing a mountain with 20 kg of luggage, it's difficult. But somebody is climbing with only 2 kg, it's easy. So when somebody comes from mode of goodness to bhakti, the baggage is less, the bad habits are less. So it's easier to control the mind and perform bhakti activities. Not that entrance in bhakti is difficult. No, entrance into bhakti depends on some other factor that is called agyat sukriti. But after one comes into bhakti, how he progresses in bhakti very much depends on what background he came from. Okay, so I hope the point is clear. Prabhupada is not mentioning about how one enters into bhakti. He is telling about how one fares into bhakti, how one progresses in bhakti. Okay, so I will just mention that point. It's not about entrance into bhakti, but it's about the progress in bhakti. Okay, goodness is important for that. If one is coming from background of passion or ignorance, having very bad habits, then to give up those bad habits, so much time and energy goes instead of practicing the limbs of bhakti. Okay, so that is the point here. Yeah, and this is a very, very famous statement of Srila Prabhupada, which is quoted by many of the devotees. So advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. Okay. So what attitude we carry, that will be deciding how quickly we can advance and to what level we can advance. Okay. So advancement in both the ways. So one has to understand there is a quality of advancement and there is also quantity. Okay. Quality of advancement means how much one is able to practice the limbs of Uttama Bhakti. To that degree, he can attain higher rasas. Okay, we will discuss later. So quality of experience in the spiritual world will be higher. To the degree one practices pure bhakti. Okay, that is quality. Quantity means to what stage one can progress. Like there are 9 stages. Okay. So last time we were discussing Ado Shraddha, starting from Shraddha and go till Prema. To what extent one can progress quickly. Yeah. Yeah. And then Prabhupada explaining about the title Goswami. And one should become a Goswami. Goswami, Prabhupada will tell now, one who can control his senses. Yeah. Yes, please read, Prabhu.
One who wants to become a perfect devotee of Krishna must become a Goswami. Go means the senses, and Swami means the master. Unless one controls his senses and mind, one cannot become a Goswami. To achieve the highest success in life by becoming a Goswami and then a pure devotee of the Lord, one must follow the instructions known as Updesha Amrit, which have been given by Srila Rupa Goswami.
Yeah. So here Prabhupada has mentioned the meaning of the word Goswami. So Go means the senses. Swami means the master. So this is very simple meaning of Goswami word. One who is control of his senses. So how many senses? So mainly the six senses. Okay. So Gyanendriyas, eyes, ear, nose, skin, tongue. And then fifth and the sixth sense is the mind. Okay. So mind plus five senses. So these are the six senses, which one has to control, means one has to become the master of them. And Prabhupada gives many times that chariot analogy, that how there are five senses, each one represented by the horse, correct? And the charioteer, one has to control the five horses, like that he says. Okay. And what is the result of controlling the senses? Now Prabhupada is saying that the result of controlling the senses is what? Highest success in life. Okay. That is, obviously he'll be Goswami by controlling the senses, but higher is what? Pure devotee of the Lord. What is the meaning of this pure devotee? One who is practitioner of Uttama Bhakti or Shuddha Bhakti. Okay, what is the definition of Uttama Bhakti? We will see in the next session, next slide, miss after this presentation. After preface, we will see that. Because until unless we know what we have to practice, the definition of it, how can we practice it? So, Prabhupada is saying the result or the outcome of doing this NY1. Basically, the context is the discussion of NY1 and then coming to mode of goodness by following NY1 by controlling the senses. What will happen? Then one can become a pure devotee. So here the meaning is actually the practitioner, sadhaka of Uttama Bhakti. Not pure devotee in the sense that who is a perfect person, not Siddha. Because that's what NY2 will start with. Okay. So Prabhupada is building the purport in that way. That NY2 is whatever Atyar, Prayasas, all that is going to start has to be followed after one comes to goodness and then controls his senses. Okay, to the degree one is able to follow the first verse, to that degree one will able to follow second verse onwards. Okay, that is what Prabhupada is trying to tell. So he is not telling about the perfect, that also I will write here. Not the perfected person. Perfected person surely is doing Prema Bhakti. But there is also a practitioner of Uttama Bhakti who is called Vaidhi Sadhaka by Rupa Goswami. Okay. So that's what Prabhupada is telling. Yeah. So for that, one has to follow the instructions of Rupa Goswami as given in Updeshamritam. Hmm. Yes, Prabhu, please continue.
Srila Rupa Goswami has given many other books, such as Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Vidagdha Madhav, and Lalit Madhav. But Updesha Amrit constitutes the first instructions for neophyte devotees. One should follow these instructions very strictly, and then it will be easier to make one's life successful. Hare Krishna. By Sri A.C.
You just read it.
Bhaktivedanta Swami, Vishwaroop Mahotsava, Krishna Balram Mandir, Raman Reti, Vrindavan, India.
Yeah. Thank you. So Prabhupada is ending his preface here and he is saying Srila Rupa Goswami has given many other books which are there. Vidagdha Madhav, Bhakti Sam Sindhu is foremost obviously, and Lalit Madhav, but Updeshamrit constitutes the first instructions. Means what? First instruction means what? When it should be read? It should be read first. Okay. So somehow in this course also we are reading it first. Yeah. Generally we read it after Bhakti Sam Sindhu somehow in the sequence. But I think for all of you, Prabhupada has bestowed a special mercy. He has given the NY first. Yeah. So one should follow the instructions very strictly. Yeah. So strictly doesn't mean that Yeah, many times devotees have very different understanding of the word strictly, and every devotee has different dictionary to look that word what it means. Okay, we will see when we come to NY1. Okay, but strictly doesn't mean to go to the extent of giving up the sense objects. We may be sometime having the tendency to overindulge into sense objects, but strictly here doesn't mean to completely give it up and become a person or have a tendency of jnani. Jnani means neti, 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 means everything has to be rejected. Okay. And then the devotee is not like that. Okay. So there are two concepts of Yukta Vairagya and Falgu Vairagya. So what Prabhupada is meaning here is the Yukta Vairagya. Okay. So the definition of Yukta Vairagya is Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatha Aram Upayunjata Nirbandhe Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. Okay. Anasaktasya Vishayan. Three conditions are there. Okay, so what are the three conditions? The first one is अनासक्तस्य, आसक्त नहीं होना है किससे? अनासक्तस्य विषयान, विषय भोग की वस्तुओं से. ओके, देन सेकंड इज यथा आरहम उपयुंजितः. यूटिलिटी इज द प्रिंसिपल, यू हैव हर्ड ना. ओके, use it to the extent it is usable in bhakti. Okay, first one has to be detached, okay, from that sense object. Second is utilize it in bhakti. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. Okay, means it should be used in what service? In the service of Krishna. Otherwise, many times devotees may use the object in their own service. That is not Yukta Vairagya. Okay. So, if one is not able to do this Yukta Vairagya, then how one should be strict? One should be strict by being at the stage of dovetailing. So, what is the meaning of this word dovetailing? Means we may have a propensity towards some sense object, but we engage in Krishna conscious ways. We may not be completely at this level of Yukta Vairagya, these whole 3 points, but at least we can dovetail. So we can give one example, very good example some devotee gave. So one is that suppose any devotee has a car and then he is using it for serving. Suppose some sannyasi comes to airport, then the devotee goes to the airport and receives Maharaj and then brings him to the temple. So he already had a car which he is now engaging it in service of Guru and Krishna. Okay, like that. So that is called dovetailing. Now there is also Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur engaging his car in bhakti, but that is not the same as we may be doing. Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur purchased the car for bhakti only. He had not already purchased a car before he Niti Siddha. Just giving an example. So he had not already had a desire for purchasing a car and using it for himself, and then later he started using it for bhakti. No, he purchased the car for the purpose of using it in bhakti only. Okay, so that is called Yukta Vairagya, which is higher level. We may not be directly at that level, but we can be strict in the sense that we at least dovetail it. Okay, but we don't have to go to the extent of rejecting the car. Why? Because sometimes I enjoy it, Prabhuji. I also feel like driving the car. It's new sometimes, na? We are attached to it. So those things should be avoided by Vaishnavas. Okay, that is the Jnani tendency. Okay, initially one may indulge sometime, but as one progresses in bhakti, anartha nivritti will happen and one can dovetail it and then even go higher and become a yukta vairagi or use it in completely in Krishna's service. Okay, so this is the understanding of this. Okay, so any questions on what we discussed in this preface? Anybody has any question? Yes, Priya Gaurangi Mataji.
Prabhuji, just wanted to know more about this. As you said that we should not go at the level of rejecting completely
Hmm.
anything.
Correct.
Sometimes we think that we should not get something because we cannot use it in the service of Krishna and Vaishnava.
Hmm.
So is it okay, or I'm little
Yeah. Yeah, as far as I understand, I'll rephrase your question. See, You are asking that we are doubtful about some sense object, whether we are going to go away from Krishna consciousness by having it in our life, or we are going to come towards Krishna by having it in our life. Is that your question?
Yes, yes, Guruji.
Yeah. So yeah. So what we can do if we are having a doubt. So first principle Bhaktivinoda Thakur has told of Sharanagati is Anukulasya Sankalpa Pratikulasya Varjanam. Okay. So first one has to see whether that object can be engaged in Krishna service. Okay. So if the answer is yes, it can be engaged in service and it is required for my service. Okay. It's not about already have we had that we are not discussing. It's something acquiring something new. Okay. So whether it can be engaged in Krishna service, that is the question. So if the answer is yes, then we can see, we can have it under the guidance. We can discuss with also our superiors. Okay. If what I'm thinking is right. And then after one has it, one can see for some time whether actually he is able to engage it in Krishna service, or he is engaging it in his own service and the Krishna consciousness is going down. What I mean is the Shravan limbs of bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. These 9 limbs basically engaging into our sadhana, reading, hearing, and associating with devotees. The 5 most important limbs of bhakti. Those should not go down by having that object in our life. If it is happening, then one should understand that we are not able to dovetail also that object. Okay. But at least we may be having initial some tendency, succumbing stage, that is called. Radheshyam Prabhu explains that many times. Okay. So before dovetailing, we are having the succumbing stage. Succumbing stage means where we succumb to the sense object sometimes. Okay. When we are alone. Okay. Nobody is watching us and we are what we are. At that time we succumb. But after some time we indulge into it, then we get frustrated. We get devotees instructions that no, we should practice more time, Krishna consciousness, give up sense objects. We keep hearing. And as we practice the limbs of bhakti, we advance also in bhakti. Then from there, succumbing stage, from succumbing to our anarthas, we at least come to the stage of dovetailing, where we are able to majorly engage it in Krishna service. But some minor times we may be able to, we may be indulging into our own sense gratification, which is not connected to Krishna at all. Like very good example, maybe mobile. So sometimes we may be using the mobile for seeing something on YouTube which may not be directly connected to Krishna, or neither indirectly also not connected. Okay, so that is a stage which we have to cross as we progress in bhakti. It cannot happen just by negating it. Just by giving up the mobile, one cannot overcome the attachments which one has. Okay, it may not be possible for everyone. So one has to go through that stage while practicing bhakti. Okay, and some devotee may be there who may be able to completely reject it because it's not at all conducive for their Krishna consciousness. Then give it up and then go ahead, and then dovetailing, then comes Yukta Vairagya, where one is engaging only in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so we can say this is like we have impure senses, and then here we have semi-pure. These words Radheshyam Prabhu uses. This is a semi-pure stage, and then this is completely pure stage. Okay, so from these words you can understand what I mean. Okay, so how this happens? This happens, the progress happens by practicing the limbs of bhakti. Okay, by rejecting, one may not be able to progress through this. So I am not saying the philosophy which Daksha said in Bhagavatam. Daksha said also that one has to overcome the sense objects only by enjoying them. That is not the philosophy I'm telling. I'm telling here the philosophy of progressing in Krishna consciousness by practicing limbs of bhakti, which is the only way to progress and get detached from sense objects. Okay, not by indulging one gets detached from them, but one has to practice the limbs of bhakti to get detached from sense objects. But if one is rejecting it completely and not engaging in Krishna service, then that's not good. Even though it can be used, but he has rejected it completely. That is called Falgu Vairagya. So Falgu Vairagya definition is said that uh, प्रापंचिकतया बुद्धिया हरि संबंधी वस्तुना मुमुक्षुभि परित्यागो falgu vairagyam kathyate. So he says, Rupa Goswami says that uh, prapanchikataya buddhya means having a vision of materialistic mentality towards what? Hari Sambandhi Vastuna. Those objects which can be engaged in the service of Lord. Okay. Prapanchikataya buddhya. Having a materialistic outset or mentality towards the objects which can be used in service. Okay, means what is the mentality that these objects are entangling me into material world. Yeah, it may be entangling for some time, but as one progresses, one will go ahead. And Hari Sambandhi Vastuna, Mumukshu bhi parityago. Those were mumukshu. Mumukshu means those, there are two type of people. Bhubukshu, who are enjoyers of sense objects, and mukshu are gyanis, who wants moksha, liberation. Mumukshu bhi parityago. The goal of liberation of the gyani which is there, those are people give up completely these objects, and that is called parityago. Falgu vairagyam katyate. That is called falgu vairagya. Okay. So that I am saying that one should avoid to reject the objects which can be engaged in service. One should not do that. Okay, that's what my understanding is. Is it okay, Mataji? Sorry, it was a very long answer.
Thank you, Bhagavan. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Okay, any other devotee has any question? Okay, so if there are no questions, then what I am planning to do, there was a question asked in the previous session about are we practicing pure bhakti? Okay, and I had told that I will answer that question in the next session. So this question keeps coming again and again as we go ahead also, and I have experience. So I think we should clear it before we go. But the devotee who asked the question is not there. Amrish Pranpu had asked the question. So, okay, anyway, let's see how much time we have. So we have another 50 minutes. No, 40 minutes. Yeah. Anybody else has any question? Somebody had raised hand. Yes, Mataji. Yeah. Sangeeta Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Ah.
You talked about like three aspects of Yukta Vairagya. No? So first is okay, Anasakta, but utility and the third one completely, how they differ actually, I didn't get the exact difference. Utility means we are using everything in the Krishna service, and third one is also we are using completely in the Krishna service. So what is the exact difference?
Okay, I will show you that shloka with translation, then it will be clear. Okay, I told in the definition, I will show this verse now. Okay, is it visible? Screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so this is Bhakti-Rasam Sindhu. Okay, 1.2.255. Yes, please read the translation, Mataji.
The vairagya of that person who employs objects suitable for devotional development while remaining detached from them is said to be suitable for bhakti. The object should be persistently related to Krishna.
Yeah, so here we have three things mentioned here. Okay, so first three lines mention three aspects. Anasaktasya Vishayan. Okay, so remaining detached. This is first aspect. Okay, that I mentioned in the slide. Okay, remaining detached from them. Them is referring to what? Vishayan, the sense objects. Okay. Yatha arham upayunjitaha. So what is that? Employing the objects suitable for devotional service. That is second point I mentioned as utility. Okay. Yeah. And third is nirbandha Krishna sambandhe. Okay. The object should be persistently related to Krishna, not sometimes. Always it is engaged in Krishna service. Nirbandha. Bandha means bandhan. Some restriction is there. Nirbandha means without restriction. Without any, just like we say, ahetuki apratihata. Apratihata. Without any disturbance. Always. Okay. These are the three terms, Mataji. So utility doesn't mean always it is utilized. Utility means it can be utilized. Okay. Okay. Can you read this commentary?
With this verse, the author shows the type of vairagyam which is suitable for entering bhakti and which was previously mentioned. The vairagya of the person employing material
Upayunjita.
objects, material objects only to the extent that they are favorable for his devotional development, yathartham, while being detached from material enjoyment is suitable, yuktam, for bhakti. In this, there should be persistent nirbandha in relating the objects to Krishna.
Yeah, so those same three things are explained here. Vairagya of the person. First thing, that it is suitable for entering bhakti. Okay. One should not think that it's Vairagya is not for bhakta. Vairagya is there, but Yukta Vairagya is there, not Falgu Vairagya. And then he is saying that he is employing the metal objects to the extent that they are favorable. So as I told in the beginning of my answer, Anukulasya Sankalpa, accepting those which are favorable. That is first principle of Sharanagati. Okay. And then he's saying for what he is engaging, for his devotional development. At least he is using the car for doing the service. If he doesn't have the car, how will he serve? Okay. So if he is rejecting the car, he is rejecting the service at all. So that is not recommended for devotees. Just because one is indulging in sometimes in the sense gratification doesn't mean one has to completely reject it. Okay. By engaging that object in service only, that will get purified. That is the point. Okay. And then this is the definition of the Falgu Vairagya, which I told. Yeah, please read this also.
Rejection of things related to the Lord by persons desiring liberation, who think that these things are simply material objects, is called useless Vairagya.
So this is Falgu. Falgu means useless.
Mm.
Why it became useless? Because first thing is they want liberation, mumukshu. They are mumukshu. And then what they are doing is prapanchikataya buddhya. They are having this mentality that these things are simply material objects. This car, this laptop, this mouse, this mobile. Okay, whatever material objects are there in the material world, all can be spiritualized by engaging them in bhakti. Prabhupada told very famous example that a iron rod put in fire also has the fiery properties. Okay, so that is what is Yukta Vairagya. Okay, I hope it is clear. Yeah,
Yes.
so we'll not read the commentary of this. Yeah, but that is same. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Balraj Prabhu, yes. Question.
Prabhuji, we have actually mentioned in the earlier, following of the Updesha Amrita, we talked about like sadhan bhakti, bhav bhakti, and prem bhakti, right? So these are the stages that NOI would definitely take us to.
Yeah.
And we see like in the preface where Prabhupada talks about these are like the first instructions for the FI2. How do we reconcile these things actually?
Yeah. So it begins with the first instructions. Prabhupada focused on what? He focused on the first verse only, actually. Mainly, if you see the preface. Okay, he
Yes.
focused on entering into bhakti only first. And then he said that further verses can be employed by entering into the path of bhakti and trying to practice Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. So he used the word pure bhakti. Okay, I will go to that slide and show.
Okay, the context over there was for entering into bhakti, you are saying. And that's
Yeah,
where Prabhupada says that these are the first instructions.
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. That's why
But
he's saying it's the first
and
instruction,
at
but it
a-
can go to the highest level when one practices it, when one goes through it.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
That's why NOI is a very important book because it goes from the first basic to the highest.
Okay. And the preface we were actually talking about if you say the concept of the goal, and here it is at a specific context of like entering into bhakti. Okay, understood.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah. Avinash Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, definitely.
Okay.
So, yeah, Prabhuji, just now we talked about Yukta Vairagya regarding the six senses of objects, six object senses. Right? Senses are object, material objects. But sometimes we have attachment with relationships as well, like friends and family members and all. So how can we apply this Yukta Vairagya in case of relationships?
Yeah. Same thing, Prabhuji. Yeah. So as I told here, that it may be any sense object or it may be any relationship also. So we can have like see, every devotee needs physical well-being, needs the emotional well-being, he needs the spiritual well-being, he needs mental well-being. Okay, these four things are required for any devotee. Okay, some devotees may need emotional well-being more, somebody may need it less. So those who need less of it, they may be in the renounced order. Okay, it's not a weakness. Okay, and don't misunderstand me. It's not a weakness. It is what is the requirement to practice bhakti. And somebody may be having more emotional need. He may be in the householder life. Hare Krishna. Please mute yourself. Yeah. Yeah. So he may be in the householder life. Just like Prabhupada in the 8th canto, he gave the example in the Gajendra Moksha section. Somebody may be fighting on the land or in the water. Whichever is the area, whatever is need, that he accepts. Okay. And then with that, he is stable first. Okay. He is emotionally stable. He is mentally stable. He is physically stable. Then he practices bhakti. Then he tries to be spiritually stable. Okay. So for being spiritually stable or practicing bhakti, whatever is required, that one should accept. And then one may be attached to them. No problem. But that attachment will go away by practicing the bhakti. But if one rejects those things, those relationships, then one is not able to practice bhakti. Then how will the attachment go away? Okay. So the point is accept the sense objects, even though one may be getting indulged into it sometimes, but use it for practicing bhakti. Use that relationship for making you stable. Then practice bhakti so that you can overcome that materialistic aspect of that relationship. Okay. So like Arjuna also, Draupadi also, they also have emotions for their son. 6 sons were killed by Ashwatthama. It's not that they were so spiritual advanced that they forgot material, not material, I would say, the emotions itself. They also have emotional side of them, being pure devotees. Generally, we have a wrong understanding that the pure devotees don't have emotional aspect at all. No, that is not the point. Okay, emotional aspect is there for all level of devotees. Without that emotion, actually, one cannot be practicing bhakti at all. Okay, so that's the answer to your question. Is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, please go ahead. Mahadev Prabhuji. Yeah.
Prabhuji, normally here also the word is coming liberation.
What?
This
Sorry,
liberation.
I removed the slide. Just 1 minute. You want to see the slide?
No,
Yes,
no, no,
Prabhu.
no, no, no need of slide. I
Yes,
just
Prabhu.
what is actual the practical meaning of liberation? Because sometimes in devotee's life, what is meant by liberation? What are the things comes under liberation? It's normal.
Yeah. See, for devotees, liberation, one doesn't. It's a byproduct of practicing bhakti. One doesn't have to think much about it because the goal of bhakti is what we recite every day. Na? After Sikshashtakam, 10 offenses we chant. Then we say what? Krishna Prem. Correct. Krishna Prema is the goal of bhakti.
Yes.
Devotee doesn't think much about liberation, that automatically comes. And it is said even a beginner devotee is already liberated. Why? Because he already started practicing bhakti. So he is already liberated. Okay. Where is the reference for that? So for that, I will show you one shloka from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. This is, I think it's 11th canto. Okay. Let me open that shloka and then you can read. But yeah. So yeah, the point as I'm saying is the goal of bhakti is prema and devotee doesn't think about liberation much. Okay. So this verse is Hmm, how does it start? Yeah, forgot the verse. Okay. Yeah, I hope it answered, Roji. I will share that reference later.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else has any question? Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, yes. Just 1 minute. I remembered. Yeah. Okay. You continue your question. I will show it after your question. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Prabhuji, you mentioned that we should progress or do our responsibilities and duties with our relatives and relationship for
Correct.
the relationship. But
Yes.
it is observed that because our all relatives are not devotees, so we feel that some gap when we meet them, we discuss with them. Then what should be our actions so that we can improve our sadhana after that meeting, and how can come back on track on the book.
Yeah. See, actually, we are going little diversion from the discussion. So I will take this last question. Okay, we want to come back to the discussion of shloka. Okay, and we can keep some 10-15 minutes for question. Okay, so I will answer this and then we'll go ahead. So yes, Mataji, very practical situation that you are saying about, but we have to understand that how we became devotees. We were also at one time like that. So we cannot be first thing criticizing them or judging them like that. Okay, that they don't want to practice bhakti or whatever, because the practicing of bhakti starts from their side only when they get sufficient sukriti, good impressions, when we give them prasadam, or we give them some kirtans, or we give them some Krishna conscious movies, whatever stage, whatever their liking may be. Okay, accordingly we try to give them good impressions. Good impression is favorable experience of bhakti. Then when they get sufficient sukriti like this, they will start practicing bhakti. Okay, so we were also at one time like that, and somebody gave us those good experiences in bhakti so that we could take up the bhakti path. So we have to also try our best to the extent we are advanced. To that extent, we can give them good experience, and to that good quality of experience we can give. Okay, so Prabhupada and other great acharyas, by one or two interactions also, they can give immense amount of sukriti so that the person can practice. But ours may not be very strong level of bhakti like that. So we can give to the extent we have. Okay, so by keep giving them good experience, then they will come also in bhakti. So, and as far as our own practice you asked, so wherever we receive nourishment from, whichever limb of bhakti, so there are 9 limbs and there are 5 most important limbs also. Nam Sankirtan, Sadhu Sangha, correct. There is Bhagavad Shravan and Mathura Vas, living in Dham, and serving the deity. So these 5, whichever is our most likable limb of bhakti. Okay, so for somebody it may be reading, somebody hearing, lecture, whatever. We should engage in that and get nourishment. And whenever the situations come where we have to give bhakti to others, we should give according to the nourishment we receive. So both we have to balance receiving nourishment from the limbs which we like and giving to others when we associate with them. Okay, that is my understanding. Does that answer, Mate?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, so I got that reference. I will share here. Yeah. So this verse is from 10th canto, 51st chapter, 53rd verse. Bhavapavargo brahmato yata bhavet जनस्य तर्हि अच्युत सत्समागमः सत्संगमो यर्हि तदेव सद्गतौ परावरेशे त्वया जायते मति. Yeah, who had asked the previous question? Please read this translation.
When the material life of a wandering soul has is co-achieved, he may attain the association of your devotee, and when you associate with them, there awakens there awakens in him devotion unto you, and who are the goal of the devotee, and the Lord of all causes and their effects.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. So what this verse is saying, it's saying when the material life of a wandering soul has ceased, ceased means khatam ho gaya, stopped. So when material life stops, when one is liberated. Now the verse is saying that one is liberated, then he may attain the association of devotee, then his bhakti will start. Correct. Generally, we think we will practice bhakti, then we'll get liberated. But this verse is saying opposite. How is it? It's saying in the sense that when one has got the association of devotee, he is already considered liberated. So because the result is already confirmed, it is told even before he started or he just started. So this is called Atishaya Ukti. Ukti means to speak. Atishaya means to exaggerate something. Exaggerate and speak that liberation is already attained because he is coming into association of devotee. He just started coming, he is already liberated like that because that is so guaranteed. Okay. So for a devotee, liberation is not at all to be considered as a goal of life or even to be thought of. So Mukti Mukulitanjali. So that verse, Prabodhananda Saraswati has said that the Mukti is standing with folded hands in front of devotees. Okay. So one doesn't consider the devotee with that very important. And the second part of the verse is also very important. How does one become a devotee? When he associates with the devotees, he becomes a devotee. And when he associates, what happens? There awakens in him devotion unto you. So by associating with devotee, one will become a devotee. Why? What happens? One gets Sukriti, Agyat Sukriti, unknown. Okay, Agyat means unknown. Sukriti he will get. And what he will attain? Okay, he'll attain Bhakti. Okay, and which kind of devotees? Whose goal are the Lord himself, who is the cause of all. Okay, like that. Lord of all causes and effects. So these devotees are worshipping Supreme Lord Krishna. Then anybody comes in contact with them, they also become devotees. And for them, liberation is already guaranteed. That is the meaning of this verse. Okay. We can read the purport later. Okay. So now we will go to the next part. So before we start Nectar of Instruction first verse, I have one very important thing to show, that how we can study the Shastra authentically. Okay. And how the presentations are going to be in these classes. So it will be based on Shastra. And why it will be like that, that I'm sharing here. Okay, just 1 minute. Yeah. Mm, Okay, are you able to see this slide?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, what is visible? Shastra is center is visible or something?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, yeah, Shastra is the center. Okay, so yeah, I want somebody to read. Yeah, Balraj Pro, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. CC Madhya Leela 20.352 paragraph. According to Shri
Purport.
Purport, okay.
Yeah.
According to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is the way an incarnation should be accepted. Shri Narottam Das Thakur says, Sadhu Shastra Guru Vakya Chitete Kariya Aikya. One should accept a thing as genuine by studying the words of saintly people, the spiritual master and the Shastra. The actual center is the Shastra, the revealed scripture. If spiritual master does not speak according to the revealed scripture, he is not to be accepted. Similarly, if a saintly person does not speak according to the Shastra, is not a saintly person. The Shastra is the center for all.
So this is what Srila Prabhupada is speaking. And our method of studying or speaking or hearing should be based on this. Okay, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has set the trend. What is the trend? So Narottam Das Thakur states Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. As we discussed last time, this tripod. Okay, if you remember, we discussed that. Sadhu, Shastra, let's say Guru is here, and Shastra is here. Shastra is highest among all. Okay, Sadhu is previous acharyas, Guru is the current acharyas. Okay, what we have to do? Their Vakya, whatever statements they give. Chittete Kariya Aikya. Aikya means make it one. Okay, like that. So Prabhupada is saying one should accept a thing as genuine by studying the words of the saintly people, Sadhu, spiritual master, and Shastra. And all three are going to speak the same. Sadhu and Guru, they will speak from Shastra. Okay, but we may see many times nowadays there may be many speakers, okay, who may not be in our Sampradaya, and some of them even in our Sampradaya, and some of them even in ISKCON, who may be speaking something, but it is not based on Shastra. Okay, and we don't know from where they are speaking, what is the source of what they speak. Okay, so we should be able to ask, as the students of Shastra, we should be able to ask what is the source of that which you are telling. That is what Prabhupada is saying here. See, the actual center is Shastra, the revealed scripture. So if any devotee, even Prabhupada is saying about a spiritual master, okay, does not speak according to the revealed scripture, he is not to be accepted. So basically the definition of Guru itself is that one who speaks from Shastra. Okay. So if somebody is not able to follow that, then Prabhupada is very clearly saying this. So any devotee, he may be any devotee in ISKCON or outside also, not speaking according to the revealed scripture, he should not be accepted. Okay. So Prabhupada many times he quoted this verse, okay, which is very, very famous, that how much ever the pure milk may be, but if it is touched by the lips of the serpent, okay, Vaishnava mukho udgirnam putham kari hari kathamritam, okay, shravanam naiva kartavyam, okay, sarpa uchishta yathapayah. Like that, the verse is quoted by Srila Prabhupada, that even though it may be Harikatha, but if it is spoken by a Vaishnava, okay, because nowadays everybody has a mobile and everybody has access to YouTube and anybody can hear anything at any time and nobody is going to see. And everybody has a earphone also. If there are 2, 3 people around, he can put earphones and hear, nobody will come to know. Okay. And nowadays earphones are like that, you cannot observe or you cannot know also that person has put the earphone. No, they're so small. So basically the point I'm saying, anybody can hear anything at any time. Okay. And nobody is going to restrict them. Okay. But as devotees, we are having that responsibility. What is the responsibility? The responsibility is that we should hear. We have a goal of attaining prema. For that is possible when we study the Shastras and hear from people who speak from Shastra. So we should not be hearing from anybody who is not in our sampradaya at all. And even if they are in our sampradaya, but they are speaking, they have heard something from somewhere else and they are speaking that, then we should not hear them. Okay. So then second point, propositioning about saintly person. So this is the sadhu and earlier was guru. And sadhu also should speak from Shastra. That's why Shastra is center of all. Okay. Yes, Project, please continue.
Guru, SB Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th, 14 and 13 purport, 5, 14, 13 purport. A guru should be accepted as advised in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.3.21. Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jigyasu Shreya Uttama. One should approach a bona fide guru to inquire about the highest benefit of life. Such a guru is described as follows: Shabde Parachar Nishnatam.
Nishnatam.
Such a guru does not manufacture gold or juggle words. He is well versed in the conclusions of Vedic knowledge. Vedesha Sarvam Ahameva Vidya. Bhagavad Gita 15.15.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Yeah. So basically here again Prabhupada is saying in this purport, the guru should be accepted. I advise in Srimad Bhagavatam what Tasmad Gurum Prapadita Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. Yeah, one should approach a bona fide guru to inquire about the highest benefit of life. Shreya Uttamam. Uttam is that which is highest. One should approach a guru only when he has highest goal. That is bhakti or practicing Krishna, bhakti or Krishna prem. One should not go to guru for any other reason. And then Prabhupada is saying such a guru, what is the description of such a guru? Shabde parecha nishnat. Nishnat means expert. What is the expert in? Shabde. Into the Shabda. Saptami Vibhakti. Shabde. Into the Shabda means in the Shastra. Does not manufacture gold or juggle words. Yeah, there are some gurus who were doing this. They would manufacture gold in front of the people, or yeah, or bhasma, and then immediately cure some disease. So one should not have such goals to go towards guru, and such a guru should also not be doing these things, because guru's responsibility is to make the disciple practice bhakti and attain Krishna prema, like that. Okay, not guru. The shastra is not speaking that guru should treat the disease. Okay, like that. He is well versed in the conclusions of Vedic knowledge. So I will ask when the time is there to ask questions. That time you can raise hand. Otherwise, it creates a distraction in my mind. Okay. Vedasya sarver ahameva vedya. That Prabhupada has quoted again. So when Prabhupada is also writing something, he is not speaking on his own. He has spoken the reference. Okay. Yeah. Please read this.
Srimad Bhagavatam 3.25.1. Sadhava. Abiding by scriptures, word to word. Purport. A sadhu means one who follows the principles of scripture and at the same time is a devotee of the Lord. One who actually follows the principles of scripture must be a devotee of God, because all the Shastras instruct us to obey the orders of the personality of Godhead. Sadhu therefore means a follower of spiritual instructions and a devotee of the Lord.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah. So again, Prabhupada is saying about sadhu means one who follows the principles of scriptures. Okay, at the time, at the same time, he is a devotee of the Lord. So one who follows scriptures, yeah, he should be also a devotee. Yeah. Yeah. Shastras instruct to obey the personality of Godhead, and sadhu also teaches same thing. Okay, so sadhu therefore means a follower of the scriptural injunctions and a devotee of the Lord. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Any questions? Somebody had raised hand. Okay. Then we'll go to the next part. Yeah. Okay. There are a few more references which I will share. Okay, which Prabhupada has spoken at many places. Yeah. Is it visible? This right?
It's very artifacts of the data project.
Yeah. Okay. So, in what way one should be speaking? Okay, and in what way one should be hearing? That will be clear from this. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Somebody can read. Yeah. Somebody can volunteer to read.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Please read.
Yes. The art of authoritative quoting. Sometimes we argue. Somebody has said like this. Some Mahatma says like this. That is not very valued argument. Valued argument is when you quote from the Vedic literature that is valuable. Veda Pramana, Shruti Pramana. The Shruti Pramana is accepted amongst the authorities. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the acharyas they write comments on any authoritative book, immediately giving quotations from Vedas to support his comments. Otherwise, a personal comment has no meaning. If I comment on some Vedic literature on my personal point of view, that is useless. It has no meaning, but it is going on. Oh, such and such persons.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah. So valuable. That what Prabhupada is speaking again. So what is the value he is speaking about? Valued argument is when he is speaking from Shastra, Ved Praman, Shruti Praman. Okay. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the other acharyas, he is saying that they are speaking from authoritative book. So whenever they give any lecture, they speak anything, it is based on some Shastra. So there can be even interpretation on the Shastra, okay, which can come into the not Shabda Praman. Okay, it can be either Hanuman Praman or Pratyaksh Praman. That is also acceptable. But it is acceptable only when Shabda Praman is absent. So that's why Prabhupada is saying very heavily. Otherwise, a personal comment has no meaning here. Okay, like that. Yes. Please read this.
That is the gift of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is in the Shastra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not give you anything which is not in the Shastra. He is Acharya, although he is God himself. He can make Shastra. Whatever he does, whatever he speaks, that is Shastra. But still, because he is playing the part of an Acharya, he immediately gives Vedic evidences. That is the way of Acharya. Acharya will never say, I think, it is my opinion. No, such things are not acceptable. No personal opinion. It must be supported by Vedic evidences. That is called Parampara system, genuine system of understanding. Lecture
Hmm.
on Srimad Bhagavatam, 22nd October 1972.
Yeah. So what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gift? That Prabhupada is speaking, it is given in the Shastra. Not he is speaking on his own. Okay. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also does not give anything. He is God himself. He can make Shastra, but he is speaking from the Shastra like that. So Acharya speaks from Vedic evidences. So he doesn't manufacture anything. Prabhupada will tell many places. Okay, don't manufacture anything new. Okay, it's good. One can have some understanding based on reading the Shastra, which is called Shastra Yukti, which can be confirmed in some other Shastra. Okay, that is also possible. But what he is saying is something of his personal opinion, which is not there in the Shastra at all. Okay, that should be not accepted. Yeah, please read this.
Without the support of Shruti, Smriti, Purana, any religious movement for understanding God is simply a disturbance. Utpatayaiva kalpate. Even Krishna, he is God himself. He is speaking, he is giving reference to Vedanta Sutra. Brahma Sutra Padeshchaiva Hetumadbhir Vinishyataihi. Bhagavad Gita 13.5. So without giving reference to Vedic literature, anything you speak, it has no ground. Shruti Pramana. This is Vedic culture, Shruti Pramana. It must be supported by Shruti. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will find whatever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, he immediately gives Vedic evidence, Shruti Pramana.
Yeah, evening the 12th August 1976. Yeah. So yeah, here again, Krishna also is speaking. He is saying from Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra, Vedanta Sutra, it is explained. Okay, and this is also my opinion. Hetu Madbhi, my opinion also. Yeah, please read.
Speaking on Shruti Praman, Srila Prabhupada. Books mean solid ground. What we want to preach, it is recorded, not any concocted ideas. There is direction by Rupa Goswami, Shruti Smriti Puranadi. Devotional service of the Lord that ignores the authorized Vedic literatures like Upanishads, Puranas, and Narad Pancharatra is simply an unnecessary disturbance in the society. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.2.101.
Yeah, so Prabhupada using one word, concocted idea. Okay, so anybody is speaking and you are giving your ears to your hearing. Okay, then one should understand whether he is speaking from Shastra or is speaking is any concocted idea. Okay, so he is saying again the same quote, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatri Vidhimvana. Yeah, please read.
Speaking on Shruti Praman. Without the support of Shruti Smriti Purana, any religious movement for understanding God is simply disturbance. Utpat evaiva kalpate. Utpat, that is, it is the virgin given by even Krishna. He is God himself. He is speaking, he is giving reference to Vedanta Sutra. Brahma Sutra Padeshchaiva Hetu Madbhir Vinishyate. So without reference to the Vedic literature, anything you speak, it has no ground. Shruti Pramana. This is Vedic culture. Shruti Praman is Shruti Praman. It must be supported by Shruti.
I think we read already this one. Yeah, yeah. Yes, yeah.
Yes. Speaking on Shruti Praman, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will find whenever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, I think we have read it. No, whenever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, he gives immediate Vedic evidence, Shruti Praman. Then it is solid. So we are trying to present this movement with Shruti Praman. Our Srimad Bhagavatam will be finished in 60 volumes and Chaitanya Charitamrita is already finished in 17 volumes. So altogether, at least we'll have 100 volumes of books, small and big, to give Shruti Praman. This is the idea. Evening Darshan, 12th August 1976, Tehran, Iran.
Hmm. Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can read this.
Even Bhagwan quotes Shastra Praman. Evidence from Shruti, from the Vedas, that is perfect. Therefore, according to Vedic civilization, if you want to establish something, you have to quote the section or injunction from the Vedas. Then it is perfect. In the learned circles, you cannot say anything hodgepodge. That will not be accepted. If you support your statement from the evidence of the Vedas, then you are accepted as authority. Therefore, our principle is not only our, this is the Vedic principle. You will find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu giving instruction to Sanatan Goswami, to Rupa Goswami. or he was talking with Ramananda Rai in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you'll find, and quoting support from the Vedas.
Yeah. Yeah. Read this.
Sri Rupa Goswami's methodology. You'll find in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, whenever Srila Rupa Goswami has stated something, immediately he has given reference from the Shastras. He did not manufacture anything which is against the Shastras. That is a Rupanuga Vaishnava. Talk on Nectar of Devotion, 18th October 1972.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, this was just I showed for making us understand the importance of Shastra, because many times we give so much importance to only hearing. We just keep hearing from somebody or other, but we don't take ourselves a book and read. Okay, so that is more important. Then we may hear. Surely we should hear from our Siksha Guru and Diksha Guru. That is very important. But we should also take out exclusive time to read ourselves, and even reading with other devotees. That is also good. But we should read the books, because nowadays so much in ISKCON the culture is of not to read, because a survey was conducted recently and it was found that only 1% in ISKCON there are devotees who have read all the books. 1%. Okay. And how many read books regularly? 10%. Okay. So we can read, we can make some forum where we can read together, or like here there is a opportunity Bhakti Shastri we are doing. So we'll read from Prabhupada's Nectar of Instruction and sequentially read 4 books, which are very, very important books which we should read. So like that, we have to read other books also, Shrimad Bhagavatam and all, so that we can become strong in Bhakti. Otherwise, we keep hearing, we don't know the person is speaking from where, because we have not read. And sometimes they have also not read. But preaching everybody has to do, and they like to do, and it's good to do. And they need some people to hear. And many times we hear. That also good. But we have not read, and they have also not read. So we don't know whether we are going where. Are we going somewhere? That you have to ask them. Okay. So this was yeah, okay. Priya Mataji, you want to ask something? Not audible. You are on mute.
Sorry. Prabhuji, where does walk your talk come into the picture in this context?
Walk your talk. First, the talk we are discussing should be based on Shastra. Then walking will be good. Otherwise, if we walk the talk, but it's not based on Shastra, then we will not go anywhere.
But
We may
Prabhuji,
be
vice versa is
walking.
also equally important. It's based on Shastra, but we don't follow what we talk, then what are the result of that?
Yeah, Utpat, that is also stated somewhere else, that that instruction which is not tested upon oneself, but given to others, will create havoc in the society. Okay. We are not discussing, that is not the topic today. Topic was only about where we are hearing from and who is speaking, is he speaking in what way. Okay. So when we will be discussing here, we'll be discussing from Shastra only. That is the point. Okay. Yes. Pavan Kumar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Prabhuji, we actually, I had in a class that the actual Mahamantra that is given in the Shastras starts with Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And later, in a past time, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually modified it into Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So how we can understand this?
Yeah. So that is coming in Kali Santarana Upanishad and also think Brahmand Puran. Yeah, one more place. Two places it comes. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. The Vedic mantra is there. So the point is that, see, there are 3 types of mantras: Vedic mantras, then or Upanishad mantras, basically Shruti mantras, which can be chanted only by qualified Brahmanas. Okay. And others, if they chant, it may become offensive and it will give opposite results. So for that, Bhagavatam, there is a example like Toshta. So he was born when the mantras were chanted with improper incantation. Okay, the pronunciation was wrong. So that can happen when one is not trained as a Brahmana. So one should not chant the Vedic mantras. Then second is the Vaishnava mantras, Pancharatric mantras. Okay, like Gayatri mantra we have. Okay, so the second initiated they chant the Gayatris. Okay, so those mantras are supposed to be chanted not by all Vaishnavas, but only those who have been given that mantra by their guru. Okay, that's called Pancharatric mantra, which is useful in worshipping the deity, and it also reveals the form of the deity. Okay, that is explained by Jiva Goswami in Sandarbha, Bhakti Sandarbha. So now that cannot be chanted by all. Then third is the Nama. Okay, which is called just like Hari Nam. We have Hare Krishna Mahamantra that can be chanted by anyone and everyone, Shudra also, or Antyaja, even outcast, Yavana, Malecha, everybody can chant Nam. And there is no restriction on that. And one can get equal benefit by chanting the previous two, that is Upanishad mantra or Vedic mantra and Pancharatric mantra. There is no loss in benefit. But Pancharatrika mantra, if chanted without the second initiation or without qualification, it will not give results, but it may give opposite result also. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when there is a mantra which is Upanishadic mantra or Vedic mantra, because everybody should not chant that mantra in that order which is given in the Vedas. So in order to respect the Vedas and Upanishads, which that mantra is given, Kali Santara Upanishad, so he changed the order of it. And generally, many mantras which are quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita and all, generally Prabhupada changed the order, or other acharyas, they change the order because it should not be chanted exactly the same, or they will remove some words of the mantra. Okay, because it should be chanted only by bona fide person who has accepted that training to chant that mantra. Okay, so in that way, we should understand that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted everybody to benefit from the Nam, Hari Nam. At the same time, it should be based on Shastra he wanted to give. So he made the suitable changes. So as we discussed last time, 1.4.1 Shrimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada writes the purport that how one can, as per time, place and circumstance, change the details, but principle remains same. That is the maturity of a preacher. So that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, bro. So Mahamantra will come under the first two sections then.
No, Mahamantra Chaitanya Mahaprabhu which he gave, that comes in the Nama, Hari Nam.
Now, okay. It's
Yeah.
open for.
Yes, Hari Nam.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yes, Deepika Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my
Hare Krishna.
question is before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have Advaita Acharya Prabhu. So they were not chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra because he has changed, no?
No. Tell your question again.
My question is, Prabhuji, you said like Mahaprabhu has changed Hare Krishna order of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So my question is, Advaita Acharya was uh, um, before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he was not chanting this Mahamantra, or he
This means
was
what? This means
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Ah,
Mahamantra.
yeah.
He
See,
was chanting in same order or some other?
yeah. No, it's not like that. So devotees were chanting before also, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu propagated it. Okay. In a mass way, which was not done earlier. Congregational chanting. The Sankirtan was not propagated earlier. Okay. It was propagated after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared only. So those who are coming in the Vaishnava Sampradaya, they can chant the Nam given by their Guru. But it was not propagated in this way that everybody could chant the same mantra. Okay. So everybody was chanting Harinam. Does it answer,
Okay.
Mataji?
Okay, yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So I think Arjuneshwar Prabhu has joined.
Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. You want to